In this video, we're going to be looking at basic algebra problems. So let's look at the first example. So we have x minus 3 and x plus 2 equal to 0. So to solve this, you equate each bracket to 0. So you have x minus 3 equal to 0 or x plus 2 is equal to 0. And what does this mean? It means that at least one of these brackets must be 0 in order for the product to be 0. So if you have this bracket being 0, so you have 0 times any number here, say 50 or 5. If you say 0 times 50, you're going to get 0. So in this case, we can have 0 solution when x is equal to 3. And what this means, it means that we have 3 minus 3, which is 0, then 0 times anything on this bracket will give you 0. If you don't like the solution, we can have a different solution whereby x is equal to negative 2. That means that if x is negative 2, so we have 0 times anything on this bracket, we will have a 0 solution. So that's what it means. And be careful about and, because and will mean that both of these brackets have to be 0 for us to have a 0 solution, which is not really true. So let's look at another example. So I'm just going to change just a few things on this bracket. Say it is x plus 5, and then say it's x minus 3 or minus 7. So same thing that you're going to do is x plus 5 equal to 0 or x minus 7 is equal to 0. So you have x equal to negative 5 or you have x equal to 7. Then we're going to look at a different example or the second problem now. So for the second problem, we have x squared minus 5x then plus 6 is equal to 0. So for this problem, we start by factorizing. So we know that this is x minus 2 and x minus 3. In order to get this, then you have x minus 2 equal to 0 or x minus 3 is equal to 0. Then x is equal to 2 or x is equal to 3. So this is how you can do it. Another way that you can get this problem is whereby you have x squared minus 5x is equal to negative 6. What you have to do here is first getting a standard expression whereby you're going to have x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Simple like adding 6 both sides. So, and then you can go to this step whereby you factorize and then you have your solution. But the interesting problems are the third one and the fourth one. So we're just going to look at the third one right now. So for the third one, you're going to see what is really different with this one. So you have x minus 3 and you have m minus 5 equal to 0. They say we're going to be solving for x if m is 5. So if m is 5, you know that we have x minus 3 and 5 for m minus 5, which was there, equal to 0. So we have x minus 3 times 0 equal to 0. And we know that for any real number x, we're going to have a solution. Of course, when x is equal to 3, as you saw in the previous example or problem, you will have 3 minus 3 times a 0, which will give you a 0 solution, which means 3 works in this case. But then, what if x is 5? So we'll have 5 minus 3 times 0, which will still give you 0, which means it's a solution. And if you look close to the problem, you can see that x can take on any real number we will have a solution which is still 0. So if x is 1000, you have 1000 minus 3, 10 times 0, it will give you 0. So what is the answer for this problem? X must be what? Is any real number. So x is any real number is the solution for this problem. So let's look at the last problem, which is a bit more interesting. So for the fourth problem, we have x minus 5 squared then plus 3 minus x squared equals to 0. And the way to think about this is that, like, the only time that you can have two squared numbers giving you their sum giving you 0 is when each of these numbers are 0. What do I mean in this case? If I have this bracket as x, so I will have x squared, say this bracket was y, plus y squared equals to 0. The only case whereby I could have the 0 solution is whereby this bracket is 0. So when x is 0, so I have 0 squared, which is 0. And then this one will also have to be 0, so that I have 0. If one of these values or variables are different from 0, say it's negative 2 on this side, it would be negative 2 squared, which is 4. Then whatever I add on this side, since it's going to be positive, I can never find a 0. So I'm compelled to have a 0 here and a 0 there, like the solution to be like 0. So how do we go about solving this? It means that x minus 5 squared needs to be 0. At the same time, we're going to have and in this case. At the same time, the other bracket, which is 3 minus x squared, has to be 0 as well for us to have the solution being 0 on the right hand side. So this means that what? X minus 5 must be equal to 0, which means x is equal to 5. And in this case, 3 minus x has to be 0, which will mean that x is equal to 3. So this is how you go about solving this problem. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.